Last time I did a thing called the writer, and this time it's going to be a thing called the songwriter and lyricist, right? So I'll start with the lyricist part because that's something people can understand and something where I can claim some professional success. And even though you've never heard of me, I have had some professional success as a lyricist. And as a lyricist, I got paid a lot. Well, I got paid to write words for songs. Now, there are different ways of doing that, and most of the time here in Germany, and in Portugal as well, the song was already there. Either there were some lyrics in Portuguese or German, or there was a melody and some test words or something like that, that the songwriter had already filled in. And so it was my job to put English words into the melody. And doing that is not always easy, but I always considered it to be something like a crossword puzzle. You know, you fill in the blanks. And it works. It works. If you're creative and you have a little bit of feeling for poetry, and you have to know, you have to know anapaests and trochees and all that kind of stuff. You have to know the rhythm of words and the rhythm of the music to get it right. And of course, the endings of lines, very often they have to be singable endings, something that ends in an E or an O or an Ah, so that it can be sung at the end of a line. And rhymes, of course, all that kind of stuff. So for that kind of work, I would call it my professional work, and I got paid. I have no qualms about that. Sometimes I got paid without getting credit. In fact, I must say, for 2 albums that I did for a heavy metal band, Pink Cream 69, I did 2 albums for them, did I would say most all of the lyrics for both albums. And I got good money. They gave me good money, much more money than I would have earned from the songs themselves, probably. Although they had already sold all the rights to the record company. And so when they played live or when the albums sold, you have to remember they got money, but they got such a huge advance, and their concert tours cost so much that I'm pretty sure they didn't see very much money from that. The company did, of course. They get all their money back. Well, not all of it, but they get their money back, and then there's some split after that. I think everybody was happy. But that band, like many bands, got thrown off the label at the end of the 90s, middle of the 90s. And when they were cutting down on groups, and they only kept the million sellers. Okay, anyway. Writing lyrics is okay, but to tell you the truth, seriously, I don't remember any of the songs that I wrote lyrics for. Maybe 1 or 2 that I did where I actually didn't just write the lyrics. I actually participated in writing the song, even though I only got credit for the lyrics. And that was the First Affair project with my good friend Peter Pullman, who was the lead singer. And I worked with a couple of other guys on that. And I was in the studio all the time. Anyway, what kind of got me my most famous lyrics song, the one that everybody knows in Germany, at least they know the melody, and a record that sold 800,000, perhaps a million by now, in France and Belgium. And that was a record called La Valle del Aden. And it came directly from the fact that I contributed songs and lyrics to an album by a singer. However, this singer didn't just say, write songs for me and I'll sing them. He got myself and another guy to contribute and help out on the album by promising us that the album would feature all three of us and that it would be all three of our names on the album. Well, when the album came out, it wasn't like that at all. It was just his name, his photo, and we got credit on the album, but, otherwise it wasn't what he promised us. So we went to negotiations. The record company, no, not the record company, the publisher for him, his publisher, who was contesting everything and wanted all the publishing, and my publisher, the guy that I chose to be a publisher. And we went into a big room with 6 or 7, 8 people in there, and we went through the album song by song. Now, I said, yes, we gave this to him, and I wrote this for that, and we agreed on everything until we got down to the last song, the very last song on the album, which was written in Italian. And I wrote the music, that guy wrote the music, contributed something, and we gave a piece of the music, a piece of the action, to the producer from the record company as a gesture, kindness, which is what is done from time to time. But then the singer from that album said, when they said, and the lyrics, and he put his hand up and says, I wrote it. And the whole table looked in his direction and questioning, and what? They didn't say it, but you could see that on their faces. What? I said, no, it was me. The lyrics were in Italian, dude. I'm the Italian at the table. At least my name's Italian, right? And so I said, nah, it was me. And everybody nodded. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders. It was quite clear that he was trying to pull a fast one. That particular moment stayed in the mind of my publishing company guy, who was the head of the publishing company. And it was like 3 months later, 2 months later, he called me. He says, hey, you do lyrics in Italian? I said, yeah, I can. He said, well, I got something. Come down to the office and pick it up. So I went down there on Wednesday afternoon. He gave me a cassette. He says, this song is doing well already here in Germany, and we want an Italian cover for it. I said, okay, all right. So I went home. Thursday, I sat down and I wrote the lyrics. I had a little help from somebody who knew grammar, made sure the grammar was okay, and I took it back. That's right. Wednesday night I went home, did the lyrics thing. Thursday I took it back to the company. Friday he calls me, he says, we want you in the studio. The guy's going to sing it. I said, okay, all right. I went down to the studio, and there was, and if you're German, you know these names. There was Draffi Deutscher and Nino D'Angelo and Horn Bangus and the producers, and everybody was there, all the major people. And this guy, Nino D'Angelo, he sang the song in Italian, And I listened. I mean, it was one take. The guy was good, you know. I said, "Yep, sounds good to me." And that was it. I was in the studio there for 20 minutes, and I met these people, shook their hands, and then I left. There was no reason for me to stay there. And then, months after that, I suddenly found out this thing is heading for #1 in France and in Belgium. And I thought, wow, that's cool. And everybody knew the tune here in Germany because they knew it in German, and they knew it in English from the original writer, Drafi Deutscher. And they knew it in German because of a hit from this Nino D'Angelo guy. And then it was a hit, of course, in France and Belgium as #1, and also from Nino D'Angelo. It never, although it was in Italian, it never got a place in any Italian chart. And in fact, it probably never played on radio in Italy because they already had a guy with that name. Not exactly spelled the same, but you sound the same. Nino D'Angelo. So, you know, they weren't interested. They didn't want that song there. They didn't want the singer there. But it doesn't matter because I made lots of money, lots and lots of money in that first year and a half. Boy, did that come rolling in. It wasn't millions, but it was a lot. For me, it was a lot. But I never gave up the day job teaching, you know. I kept doing that. Because this business, you know, unless you sell 3 albums with all your songs on it and they each sell 1 million, you're not going to make any money. And that was the 1980s when money was still being made in the business. Now, you can forget it. Anyway, as a songwriter, lyricist, you're not going to make any money. But let's move on. I did a lot of lyrics after that for heavy metal bands and rock bands and things like that, all German artists. And it was good. It was enjoyable. It was really fun. And I'm still today, once in a while, somebody will call me and ask me to do something. But, you know, like I said, there's no money in it. However, one of the positive things about being able to do stuff like that is also writing librettos. Now, I wrote, up to now, I've written 2 librettos professionally. That's, you know, as a professional job with composers who actually got the stuff onto the stage or onto the performance stage. And the first one was about a girl who was rightfully a queen, and, you know, story. She's thrown out of her house by the stepmother, the bad stepmother queen, and then somehow she makes it back and becomes a legitimate queen of the realm. Now, I wrote that one. I was asked, "Oh yeah, so can you write?" I said, "Sure," you know, and I sat down and I wrote every night. And that night, after I was finished, I would send it over to the composer. And I wrote in kind of rhyme, you know, and sent it over and sent it over, sent it over. And one day the composer said to me, "Hey, I got a lot of stuff here. Maybe you should wrap it up." And so I could have gone on for another 10 pages, 15, 20 pages, but they said, "Okay, wrap it up." So I wrapped it up. I wrapped the story up quite quickly, and it was okay. Then the composer, a woman, wrote the music to it, and then it was played in Kiel and in Dresden. So that was cool. And now lately I wrote another thing on the urging of a composer about the climate change stuff. It was okay. It was all right. The guy was a bit of a loon, but you know, I don't regret writing it because I think morally it was correct to do it. Although this guy has changed his moral tune since then, and probably regrets that he didn't somehow. Well, I think wouldn't want to get into that. It's really starts getting into personal and political stuff that I don't want to touch right here. But anyway, so that was the librettos. And then, of course, for myself, I wrote musical librettos and stuff like that. One about Trump, and now I've written one about Melania and Ivanka. So, some satirical stuff, and it's fun. It's fun. I write poetry, so to write poetic types of librettos is also fun. All right, so that's basically the lyricist, the professional side, and I'm quite capable of writing for anybody who pays me. Yes, that's true. That's what a professional does. You give me money, I give you satisfaction of writing the words that you need and you want for whatever you need it for. And seriously, let's see. No, I can't remember that I have been rejected or told we don't want it. It doesn't. I don't think so. Anyway, I can't remember any that have told me go home. All right, that's the lyricist part.